Hey everybody, welcome to the Hypothetical Nonsense podcast. Today we talked about Rick. Today we talked about
Fuck the accountant. No, let's not do the.
You know
the
what? This
fade-in.
is raw. One thing about Hypothetical Nonsense is raw, unscripted, uncensored.
Uncut.
Will Carolina. Welcome to the Hypothetical Nonsense podcast, where everything's fake is nothing's real. Cut to Sammie. And cut back to me. I have my own single this time. Sorry, audio listeners. Hello, and hello to our video listeners.
This is not the hand position that you want to start with.
Today, what do you mean?
Okay.
Today we are talking about Rick and Morty and whether or not it has fallen off, because that is something that some people have been saying, that Rick and Morty fell off, and so we watched the top rated episodes based via IMDb from each season.
Yeah.
So we watched 1 through 7 season best rated episodes. We're gonna see if there was a dip or if they're all consistently pretty high. I know it's not the best metric, like the best from each season, because like you have to take into consideration all of the episodes to make a conclusion.
Yeah, because some of them are really good because there's like a story arc. Like the whole season is ramping up to like this like finale storyline.
Yeah, and I've also seen most of Rick and Morty, and a lot of the episodes on here I wouldn't say are my favorite of the, I'd be like, oh, they didn't choose this episode? Okay.
Yeah,
I guess so.
It's cool. One of the episodes was my favorite episode for a while, but then I watched it so many times that I got sick of it. And that's the episode where you have Sleepy Gary.
That was also my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's a great episode. Because it's creative. It's really fun and creative. It's super
creative. It's wacky. There's a lot of funny little moments
Gags.
that are just super silly.
Just gag after gag.
I'm gagged.
I think.
Sammie? Hello.
Can I get a prompt?
Well, okay, why don't we start off with our opinion? Because we're going to go into each episode that we watched. But I think to start off, to keep it interesting, do you feel like Rick and Morty has fallen off? I have not seen the new season with the new voice actors, but the episode that I did watch, I actually loved, and almost, maybe this is because I was just being emotional and weird, but like I felt like crying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because of like the nostalgia of it all, or because of the actual plot of the
concept.
The concept of the episode. Wow.
It made me realize, because in the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, I forgot. Like they changed the voice actor. It's not Justin Roiland anymore. And I was like, God, this is distracting. And the performances are not as good. Oh, I could totally tell. And the performances are not as good. But then watching the episode, I was like, wow, you know what really makes this show special is I think Dan Harmon, whoever else he's working with, their writing, like his creative vision is really what makes that a special show. And in this episode, it's basically like there's a spooky hole that if you go into, it makes you live out your worst fears so that you can conquer your fear. And there's like a part towards the end where they're basically like, they keep trying to get out of the hole. Like they think they've conquered their fear and they haven't. And they're like, okay, maybe the fear is that we should just accept that we'll never really get out of the hole. And that just reminded me of like the feeling of I'm so afraid that I'm still insane sometimes, and I'll never really know if I'm sane. I'll never know if any of this is real. And I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
If this is real, because it might not be. I might be. I don't know what it is.
I love that.
And I just have to sometimes not freak out about it and just say I don't know. And that's what life is like. It is getting into the hole. Maybe I was born in the hole. That's a line in there. So anyways, that's what I want to say. I didn't think it fell off. The voice acting was bad, but it didn't fall off.
Well, we solved it.
Well, that's my opinion. Sammie?
Yeah, I don't know how much at least for the later seasons, I don't know how much Dan Harmon can be credited to the success, only because there's so many writers.
It's a lot of writers,
like,
right?
if you look at the credits, it's like 50 writers,
Yeah.
and like Dan Harmon's name is like tucked in the back, and also Dan Harmon as well. Like, I think
Is he just a writer though?
Is
what he's like, I'm pretty sure he's I don't know. It's at the beginning of the show, it always says created by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, so they might be the showrunner, but I don't know if they're the showrunner after like season 3 or something.
Yeah,
Sure.
I've heard that he's I've read that he's definitely gotten more hands off as the seasons have went on.
So the latter seasons, I think whenever like at the end of the episode it's like staff writer like blah 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 blah. I think that's who we could attribute the success of, I guess, that particular episode or the particular season to.
But also
not necessarily
Dan
Harmon, but the writers.
But also Dan Harmon has definitely like developed like a good team, and that's like I think he has a good eye for like. If he, I don't know if he hires the writers.
That's the thing. I don't know how much he's involved in, like, I'm sure it's season 1, he probably, like, that's all him.
That's
and
his baby.
That's his baby. Season 2, maybe. But, like, season 7, is he even, like, does he go to the P&L meetings anymore?
Rick and Morty's like a moody teenager that's, like, distant and has, like, a bunch of other friends. Like, you know how when you're a baby, like, your parents are your life?
Yeah.
Life or death.
And that's Dan Harmon to Rick and Morty. And then now it's Rick and Morty.
You lost it.
I'm following.
Rick and Morty's like doing drugs now and like changing.
Exactly.
And like Dan Harmon's like, this is not how I raised you. And it's like, fuck you, Dad.
Rick and Morty is being shaped by his friends at school and the football team.
Or the studio.
And his new weird girlfriend that he has.
So is this a bad thing?
No,
it's just different. It's just not he's
the
growing apart from his father because he's now a teenager and he's about to go off to college and completely disconnect from Dan Harmon.
This is a great metaphor because in the end, yes. I couldn't tell. Like, yeah, you can kind of tell. It feels like Dan Harmon. Like the genes are still there. It's okay. Like it still kind of feels like, oh, this is a concept I could see them trying to do in Community. You know what I mean? Which it really is his baby, or initially as well was his baby. I don't know. I credit Dan Harmon, but when I say Dan Harmon, I mean like really the whole team of writers, which probably isn't fair to the writers, but it's sort of like his that tone and that vision definitely came from him, and he like provided the space for those writers to, you know. Okay. Yeah. Well, it wasn't that great. Actually, it was really good. You know what? That was a really good metaphor, and I'm very happy.
The metaphor?
I'm a little in awe. It was really good. And it was quick.
Oh, thank you. You're a little in awe.
Well, no, not because you did it, but because it was just a good metaphor. I was like, that was a really great metaphor.
Thank you. So let's start. We dabbled into season 7 a little bit, but I do think we should start in the first season.
Yes. Absolutely.
The first episode we watched was Close Recounters of Rick Kind, which is season 1. Yes.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 10. Oh God. Watching this, I was realizing like me especially trying to explain things in general is difficult, but like trying to explain a Rick and Morty episode is like trying to explain like a dream that like you didn't write down, but you remember it like 12 hours later, and like you're trying to like put all the, I don't know. It's just so maybe you can do it a little better.
Well, thank you for delegating the responsibility.
Well, no.
I'm saying I'm honored, and honestly, William, I'm in awe of your candor and your specificities. So I think from season 1, episode 10 of Rick Mortis, it is about Rick being on trial for killing all of the other Ricks within the Rick universe.
Yes.
And as it turns out, he was framed by an evil version of Rick. Yes. One of the most evil versions of Rick, in fact.
Yeah. You could see exactly. There's like a ranking of how evil all the Ricks are. And that Rick is right there. And our Rick,
it's about 2 away.
Yeah, it's 2 away.
Yeah, one buffer Rick.
Super weird.
Yeah, one buffer Rick. So, yeah, that's pretty much the episode. It begins with Rick eating pancakes, and then Rick kills him, and then it cuts to commercial, and then it starts with another Rick eating the pancakes that they were promised, and then the Rick Council comes in and takes Rick to the Rick Council, the Citadel, which is what it is called.
Which is where Ricks and a bunch
and
of
Mortys
Ricks
live alike.
Live in harmony.
Well, not in season 1.
No.
They are not living in harmony in season 1. The Mortys are... they're like second-class citizens in season 1.
That becomes the theme of another episode that I think was also on this watch list.
Yes, it was.
We'll talk about that later. Interesting.
Such good commentary.
Class commentary.
I loved it, actually.
Yeah, they actually make a lot of police brutality mentions in reference to the Mortys.
Yeah.
Which is... Okay. Okay. Cool.
Social commentary.
A lot of social commentary in this show, or at least the episodes that we saw. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the episode. We could discuss. We can talk about it.
I actually enjoyed the B plot a lot, which is when the Council of Ricks are in the the family's house, like Rick and Morty's house, while they're on trial. They're like, there's a bunch of Ricks just in the house
to monitor the situation of C137 Rick.
Exactly, and one of them is Doofus Rick.
Idiot Rick. No, I'm actually Rick Zeta Jess Furkin 7. Oh yeah, do you eat poop in that universe? I don't eat poop.
Yeah, and Jerry starts getting along really well with Doofus Rick, and all the other Ricks are like, yo, look at Jerry. Oh, Jerry really likes Doofus Rick. You know he eats poop, right? He eats poop. He's like, no, I don't. You guys are so mean to me. And I really liked that storyline because it was the first time that Jerry, if you don't know, should we explain Rick and Morty, or are we just assuming that everyone knows?
I think we can assume that people have
It's been
watched
10 years.
Yeah.
You have to have seen at least
That's
one
like
episode.
explaining Family Guy.
We could give a little context. Like, Jerry is stupid. Jerry's like the mild mannered. Jerry's
a loser.
Jerry's the
Comic
like Peter
relief.
Griffin's like if Peter
She's
Griffin
Meg.
Jerry is Peter Griffin if Peter Griffin, like, all of his family fucking hated him. Like Peter Griffin in real life.
It's Peter Griffin and Meg if they had a baby, or
yeah,
No,
but not
like
like
the
a not like
type
a
of
standard
character.
baby. It's like both of their genes came together as if they had sex, like a baby. Like they both came together.
Sex.
What?
Is
No,
that
it's like
giving
no.
birth?
It's not like having a baby. It's like if Peter's sperm and Meg's like eggs came together and had a baby, but not like in a traditional way,
Yes.
Yeah.
like artificial
Insemination.
insemination.
Yes.
A petri dish kind of baby.
No, a Peter dish.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I always like when there are plot lines.
A Peter dish. I'm sorry.
Why did you?
You gotta catch me when I'm not drinking this. All right, sorry, Caroline, we cut you off.
No.
Did we?
No, you didn't.
Did I?
I didn't realize that there was a.
funny?
I cut off your laugh.
Oh, well, my laugh's over. So if you want to start a new sentence.
Okay, so and
Guys,
scene.
Quitting BFT for the third consecutive.
You were talking in the side of the mic.
Oh, is that bad? Is that bad?
So
It's loud in my ears.
back to the episode.
No,
Where are you
whenever Jerry
camera.
gets a win in the show, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Like there's an episode where there's like an apocalypse and Jerry just has to like defend himself, and he actually becomes kind of a badass. And he's just
Yeah.
sort of like, fuck you, I've been through the ringer. Don't shit on me anymore.
That's
And I
on
was
this list.
Yeah,
too.
let's not get too far ahead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true.
So I really like that B plot of Jerry being getting along with Doofus Rick and
The
like,
Jerry of the Ricks.
Yeah, and he eventually shows him like an antique coin collection that like is like completely useless. That has like R2D2s on it, and Doofus Rick is like, you know what? Even though it may not have a lot of value financially or will go up in value, it means it's valuable to you, and that's what matters. And Jerry is bawling his eyes out, and it was so sad. He's like crying. He's like, "How long are you staying for?" Anyway, that was actually I think I liked that more than the main plot. But I did like there's one moment where they're trying to Rick and Morty C-137 Rick and Morty is trying to escape the Rick Council by traveling through dimensions, and that reminded me a lot of the when Stewie and Brian were traveling through dimensions when we were talking about the Family Guy episode. Hey Rickheads, check out Family Guy versus
Hey, Hypothetical Nonsense, Hymens. Check out the episode.
Hypothetical Nonsense Hymens?
Check out.
Is that our mascot?
Yeah, the
We've been
Hymens.
breaking it since.
Wait, we're not. Our team is not the Hymens.
Check out the Hymens. Or, sorry, the Hypothetical Nonsense Hymens. Check out
What do you
Family Guy.
mean?
Shay, listen to me. Check out Family Guy versus American Dad to get more context on the multiversal episode. See us in the next video, and don't break yourself.
It's like I'm thinking of it like Hypothetical Nonsense is like the school name. It's like or like the city name.
Oh.
And Hymens is like our mascot, like our team.
Yeah,
Hypothetical Nonsense Hyman.
that's what. Yeah,
Put that shit on a shirt. Well,
put on a shirt and it's just like a splatter of blood.
No! What the? Or a cherry?
no, you're meant to rip it open.
And you pop it. Pop the cherry pane.
Y'all
So-
have no idea. You don't even know. You don't even know.
About
You're
what?
right.
I was so
I don't know
afraid.
I'm
I
not
was so
trying to-
afraid of my hymen breaking. Like the fear. Terrible for a child.
That was really
I'm
inappropriate
sorry.
of us, especially in March.
No, it's okay, guys.
It's your guys' month.
Go ahead. Talk.
Your girl is month.
My
Yeah.
hymen's
Your
been
girls
broken
is-
all over again emotionally.
Your girls, excuse me, I'm talking. All right, it's your girls' month, so I'm not trying to silence you in any way. So if you want to
Thank you.
a little quieter next time.
Is that what you're committing to?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
That's what
commit.
that's the commit that you're gonna commit to that.
I
No.
like this tomfoolery. This is nice. This is
No, it's
We should do
This is the
Tom
problem.
and
This is
Jerry.
the
No,
problem.
no,
we
it's
don't bully each other for things that don't
Tamfoolery.
matter.
No,
Like
fuck. No,
tampon fluid. Okay.
no, that's not the joke I was trying to make. You said tomfoolery, and I was trying to think of a girl's name that like Tammy
Tammy
Tamfoolery.
jewelry. Tamfoolery. Ton.
No,
Okay,
what was your joke?
Listen. We
The
bully.
timer shut off.
We bully each other. This is just my opinion, and this is how I feel. And I'm not saying that this is reality. It's just this is just my opinion and how I feel. Okay? Am I allowed to say a feel statement? I feel.
Well, we've been doing that the whole episode.
So I feel like we don't bully each other for things that are like broad, like oh you're a woman. We bully each other for personal things. We bully each other like our personality types.
And how do you feel? How does that make you feel?
I think I would prefer that like there's like universal bullying, like things I can't control that don't actually bother me, like being a woman. Like I didn't control that. I don't mind being a woman. I'm not insecure about it.
Yeah.
Then other things.
What about like those super dry lips that you have? Those dry ass.
the fuck?
Yeah,
lips?
that's one of those things where I'm like, that is personal. It doesn't actually bother me, but it's an instance of doing something that's personal.
So
to
that's
me.
too specific.
I think it's
you'd rather
just-
it be broader.
Yeah, very broad.
Like how
like
white
you're associating-
woman, like things that I could tell just by looking
you're
at you.
associating me with like a group of people, and so you're like offending all people that are associated with this, as opposed to just me personally.
So you'd rather be bullied for things that are surface level and just like I can see just by looking at you, like without knowing you at all. It's like only things that I like.
Yeah.
I can look at you, which I think the only things I could tell are like you're white, you're a woman, and you dress kind of weird sometimes.
Yeah, you can make assumptions about that from there. You
And
can
you're ugly.
extrapolate. You can and I'm ugly. Yeah. So all I'm saying is
We've lost the plot.
what?
We've lost the plot.
We were just having a
here.
little segue.
Oh, okay. Continue.
Speaking of
Don't let
segue,
me crack any eggs. I'm starting some new catchphrases. Don't let me crack any eggs. Go ahead.
Sometimes you have to crack an egg to make it.
I said I was starting the catchphrases. I can't have one thing.
No, I was just saying that I was sort of like riffing.
Hey,
yeah,
don't
let him have his ham and cheese. Just trying something new.
Hey, don't let
I really love that. I'm in awe of that catchphrase.
Let him eat his. Let him eat, but he can't have his ham and cheese and enjoy it too for lunch.
All right,
Okay, if
so-
someone were to
okay.
jump off a bridge, would you jump too?
So the Citadel of Ricks.
That's another one that I made up.
Hell yeah.
Love eating poop. Just putting it out there.
Okay, doofus. Doofus Caroline.
So are there smart Carolines running around? We got the doofus one.
Okay,
got-
we
you
gotta
got
get on.
doofus
We
Caroline.
actually have. We usually
I
do
think about
6
that a lot.
episodes. We have 7 episodes to
Okay,
get through.
okay.
Yeah, so let's park our segways. Let's put them on the bike chain,
Yeah.
and let's get back to the
Yeah.
the meat of
So
the
true.
potatoes.
I enjoyed this episode a lot. I liked. There's a point where. Okay, so let me continue through this. Let me try to make my way through this. Rick and Morty are traveling through different dimensions to escape the citadel of Rick's and Morty's, and they.
What was the first one they went to?
It was a phone.
No.
It was a pizza. No, it was.
They went to the ass dimension
Oh
with
yeah,
the
yeah, with the
farts.
fart. They went between some ass cheeks. Yeah. It was a dimension where it was just asses and they farted.
I want to clarify. That voice was that it felt more tongue in cheek. Like me, maybe I don't like the ass dimension. If I were a writer on a syndicated animated show, the first thing I would do is put them in the ass dimension. I just want to make that clear. The fart dimension, I thought that was brilliant. Just wanted to make that clear. And then they put the portal in the ass cheek, in
I
the
saw
ass
that.
crack, and then they go through the ass crack.
Yeah.
That was great. Anyway,
That was
continue.
cool. And then what was the first pizza? Pizza dimension. It was a human first, or was it was a a pizza. It was a slice of pizza sitting
on a couch.
On a couch.
And they're like, "Could I have one human, please, with extra human?"
White people.
No, black people with half Mexican.
Yeah.
So that was the first iteration of that.
And then they go through a couple other dimensions. Like there's like an oiled up grandma dimension that's super weird, right? Wasn't there?
Yeah,
like
it was literally just oiled
grandma?
up oiled grandma. I really don't greased up grandma. I think I was not clear on what that was. Maybe that was a 2014 thing.
They go back, and it's two phones. Two phones sitting on a slice of pizza chair.
Yeah,
talking into
a
human phone.
Yeah, and it was like, "Can I have one couch, please?
One sofa, please."
Yeah.
High chair. No, low chair with something on half.
Yeah.
I don't know, with sofa on half. And
yeah.
Then they go through another one, and it's a fucking
couch.
It's a
sitting on.
Yeah. Couches are sitting on people with pizza phones.
Yeah, and they're like, "Can I get one phone, please?" No, rotary. No, flip phone. Actually, touchscreen with the one side on half. And that's the dimension they stay in.
No, so they stay in that one, and they're walking around, and
everyone's
I like how all of because in this one the couches are humans, and the couches are walking around, seeing their chairs, talking and walking around, and they're like. Their faces, I don't know why their faces kill me every time. And then, oh God, they sit down for lunch.
Mm-hmm. Here's your phone, Getty, with extra phone balls.
Can we get a refill on the phone sticks, please? So stupid. It's so stupid. And then the Citadel of Rick's mate, they find him in this dimension, and they're talking to the waiter. They're like, "Just so you know, people who just look just like me are evil, and they're here. And to stop any confusion, in case we're pointing guns at each other, and I tell you to shoot one of them, and I say that this is the evil one, I'm going to draw a red X on my forehead so you can tell the difference between us, okay?"
Well, this is actually the introduction of a character, Evil Morty.
Yes.
With the eye patch.
Oh, yes. So Rick goes... C-137 Rick finds the evil...
For all you hypothetical Hyman Nonsenses here, go back to 2436 when Will first says Evil 3176.
I don't even think we're 17 minutes into the podcast. How many minutes are we into the podcast? 27?
Yeah.
What?
So 20 or 27?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. We gotta stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Rick finds evil Rick that framed him, and he ends up getting trapped. But then Morty ends up saving the day because he's like the
one true Morty.
The one true Morty who like riles up a bunch of Mortys who are trapped to like go and make an uprising and kill evil Rick, and then it turns out that the Rick that they killed was like being controlled.
He's an android. He's a robot.
He was a robot being controlled by an evil Morty, and then the episode ends. That made no fucking... I feel like this makes no sense to anyone that, like, doesn't know Rick and Morty, you know?
Well, I mean, this is season 1, episode 10. The show really comes out swinging with these crazy, like, concepts.
Yeah, that's the thing about... Okay, actually, I'm going to save that for later. Let's move on.
Yeah, save it for later. Season 2 of Rick and Morty. Episode
4. Total Recall.
Like Total Recall?
Yeah.
This is the
Rick and Morty.
Will, can you explain Total Recall?
Monsieur Poopy Butthole is introduced in this one, yes?
Yeah.
Monsieur Poopy Butthole.
Total Recall.
Yeah.
It's when you make a product like an iPhone or something.
Okay, so in this episode, we start off with the family eating breakfast the way that they normally do.
Yes.
But all of a sudden we notice that there's a new character at the table. And it's Jerry's brother.
Uncle Steve.
And we don't really know this character, but everyone's like just pretending like he's always been there.
Uncle Steve.
You know, he's not
Classic
introduced. He's
Uncle
just there.
Steve.
And you know, when you're watching this, you're just sort of like, oh, I guess that Uncle Steve is like a character.
Yeah, because
it's
pretty early into the show
why
to where
not?
it's like, oh, I
There
guess
could be a
there's
new
an Uncle
character.
Steve, right?
But then Rick is kind of like, wait a minute, we don't know Uncle Steve. Like this guy we've never seen him before.
He
takes out a gun
and
without saying anything, just shoots him. And then all of a sudden it turns into like a worm thingy.
Yeah.
Parasite.
Like a parasite, like a leech looking thing. Purple leech alien thing.
Yeah.
And it's explained to us that there's an alien parasite that was probably tracked in on Morty's shoe. And basically what it does is it will make characters and
it will create
like
memories.
False memories.
Yeah, fake memories that didn't exist
of a person in your life.
Yeah.
And you won't realize that it's like it's a fake character because you have all these false memories. And so like in this episode, a bunch of like random goofy wild characters are popping into the room, and
every time that there's a new memory, a new character will come into the memory and be like and insert itself so that it can live off of, basically keep repopulating and survive off of like the family.
Yeah. And there's a part in the episode before the commercial break where they like kind of do a wide and they like look at the living room and they have all the characters and Rick is like, guys, it's like a Where's Waldo page. Like, where am I? Huh? And this episode is just really fun because it's just so like, it's just random. I think they were probably just in the room, just like thinking of characters that would be funny. Like Mr. Beauregard is their butler.
Keith David is reverse giraffe. I'm reverse giraffe.
I have a short neck and legs.
Who also voices the president in Rick and Morty. So they got Keith David coming in. So I'm sorry. In the voice booth. Reverse giraffe, you said? Got it. I'm reverse giraffe.
He's got a gorgeous voice.
He does have a great voice.
It really was them just throwing like concepts at the wall.
Like,
Mr. Fluffles! I'm Mr. Fluffles!
A refrigerator, you know?
Oh, literally.
Beth is like, remember we were on the roller coaster?
That shit was scary.
Okay, so basically the way that they figure out who is a part of the main cast, real people and a part of the family and not the parasite, they realize that with the parasites, they only have good memories.
Yeah.
They can't think of any bad memories. And so they have to like go up to their friend, these like goofy characters and like try and think of bad things, but they can't. But then there's a fun part in this episode where the family members are looking at each other and trying to see if they have any bad memories.
Yeah.
And they just like bring up such disturbing, like real things that happen with your family. Like
Morty
I think
masturbating
and
in the
Summer
kitchen
catching him.
Summer catching.
Real things I think real things for some fucking crazy ass people, because Jerry abandons his wife to like get killed by a homeless person, and then Morty's jerking off in the kitchen and just jerking off everywhere.
And I don't know.
Beth is drunk on Summer's picture day, and he smacks her with a bottle of wine.
That for me was like, all of those, I was like, that I could totally see having. But that, especially with like Beth being drunk in the morning, I was like, yeah. Real for like the worst family you ever know.
I think a lot of families out there are a lot worse than we might think.
Dude, I want to tally. I want a study of how many husbands have abandoned their wife to get killed by a homeless person.
That one I think is the only one that's like a stretch. But
that's because Jerry is such a crazy
fucking loser.
Yeah.
I think even the kitchen jerk off is also
no. I think a lot of
such bullshit. It absolutely happens.
Not me personally.
Okay, that totally happens. Like if you've ever
you guys were silent for way too long after I said that.
Because I just assumed that you are joking and you totally jerked off in your kitchen sink.
No, but I mean,
okay, so yes,
it just made it awkward. Like you guys could support me and like making it and like being like, yeah, well, like we believe you, but and now it's like I seem super defensive, like trying to defend myself.
Sorry, yeah, well,
it's like I'm projecting.
Sorry, yeah, well, you definitely do that. In the kitchen.
Totally done that before.
Yeah,
right,
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
No, right, as in no.
I think I didn't realize how dysfunctional my family was until I started to like go to college and then find people who had families that weren't dysfunctional. And then I got a little bit older and I started meeting like more people in different places and then realized that my family was pretty normal.
I have a lot of friends with crazy stories that would be written into the Rick and Morty show and seem like more unrealistic than like the stuff that has happened. Like
CPS never showed up to my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my bar. I was like, the government didn't find out, but never got involved. You know what I mean? So.
But
loving it.
Yeah, so they all these the house slowly gets filled with all these zany, wacky characters, and they start killing all the ones they only have good memories with, and that's how they get out of it. But I want to highlight some of the characters like Sleepy Gary.
Yeah, there's a like proto B plot where Jerry and Sleepy Gary fall in love.
Well, Sleepy Gary in this universe is Beth's husband. Which is crazy that Jerry just got pushed out of the husband role. Was like totally just being cucked and just accepted the fact that like his wife has a new husband and like it's Sleepy Gary and he got like
Omega cucked because he got so cucked that he didn't even realize that was his wife anymore.
No. Like, did they wipe all the memories of that he was the
just gone?
and then Sleepy. It turns out Sleepy Gary and Jerry had like a moment on a houseboat where they had sex.
They're a little wine.
They're lovers. So Beth is getting cucked by Jerry without she doesn't even know.
Yeah.
So Jerry might be that dude.
Maybe
he might be him because he
got both.
He did end up getting both. Yeah.
Sleepy Gary, after they reminisce on their houseboat moment, Sleepy Gary leans in for another kiss, and Jerry's like, "Oh, not in the house," and walks away.
We agreed.
Yeah,
not
we agreed,
in the house.
not in the house. And you said gross.
Yeah.
I think what?
Gross.
No, just like that shame. It's just that it is such like a disturbing line where you're like, yeah, I guess that's how they really would react. Like it's not like, haha, isn't it funny that they're gay? It's like, no, they're clearly having a relationship and it's difficult and it's complicated and it's real. And that made it so much more real.
And that's
gross,
like all amidst of like Pencilvester.
No,
and,
it's
like,
just it's hard.
Fluffles.
Yeah, Pencilvester is such a crazy character.
And that's the one character that Rick couldn't shoot. Like Rick was trying to shoot Pencilvester. He's like, and Pencilvester's like, Rick, you can't shoot me, can you? And he's like, you're right. Morty, kill Pencilvester. And he walks away.
So
it felt like the writers like loved the name Pencilvester. And they're like, we don't know what to do with this, but we want to keep him so bad.
It actually broke my heart when Summer was
Summer
had like a dreamland with Fluffles and like all these characters that like, we love you, Summer. And then she has to kill them. And Fluffle's like, Summer, I always loved you. And Summer's like, yeah, and then shoots her. Like I thought that was
for the purposes of staying on track, because we have to get through this episode. Let's just say there's a misdirect, Mr. Poopy Butthole, right?
Oh,
classic character. Yeah. He's introduced in this episode, and by the end of the episode, all of the parasites have been taken care of, but there's still one guy left named Mr. Poopy Butthole, and we're like, oh no, there's still a parasite left. What's gonna happen? And then Rick is sort of like, oh no, is it Beth? Yeah. It's Beth, right? Yeah, sorry. Beth is like, I don't think I've ever had a bad memory with you, Mr. Poopy Butthole. And they're like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then she shoots him, and it's the only person that just starts to have like
he starts bleeding out.
Like a full blown.
Everyone's like, oh my god, fuck! Call the ambulance. Everyone's like, call the ambulance. And Beth like goes in the kitchen and starts like chugging wine.
Yeah,
and crying.
that's she's like shaking. It's so funny. Did you see the cutaway scene at the end?
The post credit scene.
Yeah, where he's just sort of like, I'm sorry that we never had a bad memory. And that's such a great it's such a great fake character because Mr. Poopy Butthole
is real.
Is so funny to me. All right, so that's that episode. It's a great episode. It was one of my favorite episodes, but I've seen it so many times now that
I feel the exact same.
It's a little less charming.
I love that episode.
Yeah, it was such a good episode. Okay.
The next episode is called the Ricklantis Mixup.
It's another Citadel episode, yeah.
Yes, which is about the Citadel.
That's almost all of these episodes. All the top-rated episodes are like the lore episodes.
Yeah, because they're really good. It's not like a gag. Some gags are better than others. Like they have, I'm thinking of like the story train. You know what I'm talking about? We won't get into it, but like
these are like one of the only Rick and Morty episodes I've seen. Like I've seen like a couple, but this is like I've already passed the amount of Rick and Morty episodes I've seen before this.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. So there's a lot of like good gag episodes where you're like, oh, that's a fun concept. Like they go inside the human body and it's like like basically Jurassic Park. Like that's a cute concept, but it's not as like you're more emotional when you're thinking about like the real family dynamics of Rick being a distant father and like this is why.
These make sense on why they're top on IMDb, because they're like rich in story and like the depth to them. Yeah. But like a lot of, and that's why I'm surprised. To be fair, the first 3 seasons had a lot of really high rated episodes, like in the over 9.0 on IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that one of the cable vision, what is it called?
Intergalactic.
Interdimensional cable.
Yes.
Was not one of these episodes, because that was always like that was like on Reddit. They're like, isn't this an amazing show? Yeah. And that's just like basically their excuse to do Family Guy cutaways, but they're like crazy.
A plumbus.
Is so funny.
That's their like Treehouse of Horror episode from The Simpsons. The Halloween specials where it's like they could just play around with a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah, it's totally like that. I think they actually, in the second time they do it, they mentioned that
Treehouse of Horrors.
Yeah, they like compare it to that. Okay, so anyways, this episode is another Citadel episode.
Yeah, it's kind of 3 mini stories that kind of connect a little bit by the end. There's like there's one following like a Morty police officer and who has a new Rick partner. And the new Rick partner is like really like following the rules, and he's like
optimistic.
Yeah, he's very optimistic, and he's like, well, we can reform and we can change and we can do good because we're policemen. Yeah. And the Morty's like, well, like, this is just how it is. Morty's killing Mortys.
Well, the implied context seems to be, or I guess not implied, they do say it, but Rick ended up killing all of the Citadel or something, and they're like rebuilding right now. So they're rebuilding, and Rick and Morty's, they are like trying to like bridge the divide, which I assume the implied thing is after Rick killed all the Citadel people, they're like, now they're trying to like restructure
they're not, and that's the problem was that there was such like a huge divide in like Rick's and Morty's that but no one had addressed it, and that's why the Morty, there was a like Rick's have been there's never been a Morty president in the Citadel, but there was a Morty running for the first time and was the only like during the debate the Ricks were like juggling and farting. It's like let me rebuttal this. And then the Morty was the only one who wanted to confront any of the real issues that were going on in the Citadel. And so that was kind of what triggered like the reform. Like it didn't seem like it was reforming. It seemed like it was like at a low and like was kind of
festering.
Well, weren't they saying at the beginning of the episode, like, didn't one of the Ricks and one of the Mortys come and they're like, hey, come donate to reform the Citadel? Like they're in the process of like reforming trying to bridge the gap between the Mortys and the Ricks. Which I think the implied thing was that there are. Like they were in the process of doing that.
I think they were in the process of reforming the Citadel, but I don't think that they had addressed the like Rick and Morty like
I see what you're trying to say. Like them having a society to begin with was like not really established when we first are introduced to the Citadel. The fact that there's like an ecosystem and there's like a school system for Mortys, that is established here, and that happens after the first Citadel episode. But again, for time, the other part of this episode is there's a Morty, there's a Rick who was like actually a good dad to Beth. This is a crazy.
No, oh my God!
This is a crazy.
There were 4 stories.
There
are 4 stories. Then.
But just because that is a part of it.
There's like, I love that
like a
part.
candy bar, I guess.
Oh, this is
and
so
they use
clever.
the tears of like this particular Rick who had a good child. What
it was? They basically put him on a time loop, experiencing the best moment of his life, which is like taking care of his like seeing his daughter smile or something or like be happy, and they extracted like the dopamine or like the whatever fluid out of his brain that was making him feel good.
And they put it into the cookies.
And they put it onto a wafer, and they're like, this is Simple Rick's wafers. Like I forgot what the commercial was, but I remember that was so clever.
And the way that ends is really tragic. It's very much like there's a guy. It's not exactly like this, but there was a guy who bought like a what are those big machine? How am I forgetting the word for this? It's a construction machine.
A forklift?
Yeah. What am I thinking of?
Wait, what are you?
An excavator?
Oh, excavator?
Is that called an excavator? I love that. Okay, he bought one of those.
Cat cam? What the hell?
Cat cam. He bought one of those.
Shit,
from the
there's
top.
cat cam.
And basically was just sort of like sometimes a reasonable man has to do unreasonable things, and then drove that piece of machinery into like City Hall.
In real life?
Yeah, this is a real life thing that happened in America, and that reminds me.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, it's interesting, right? So that happened, and it reminds me a lot of this like incident where he kind of like loses his mind and like finally like gives up and is like, I'm not gonna let you guys keep using my tears anymore, whatever it is that they're using.
Yeah, there's a Rick on the factory line who's been there for like 15 years. And he was thinking he was going to get a raise, but he didn't get a raise. And so he's like, fuck this. And he goes and he kills the his supervisor.
Yeah.
And then he's like, fuck, like, what am I doing? And he goes into the flavor core, as they call it, where the guy is on the time loop with the headset on and they're extracting the flavor from him. And he goes in there and he basically holds the dude hostage.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, like, I have demands. Like, give me a fucking portal gun with untapped that you can't track, and I'll let this guy go, right? And they negotiate with him and they give him a portal gun, and when he shoots the portal gun, he's like oh, it's a trap. So he takes the flavor core guy, and I don't know what to call, because they're all Rick. I
Simple
can't say
Rick.
names.
Simple Rick.
He's Simple Rick.
He takes Simple Rick, throws him into the portal, and it's a portal to the blender dimension, so he just like fucking dies.
Oldest trick in the book.
Yeah. And then the police are like, you just killed your only leverage, fucking asshole, right? And then Willy Wonka fucking comes in. Willy Wonka
Ricky
Rick
Wonka
comes in and is like, stop. This guy knows
I
what
made
he's
up Ricky Wonka. That was not an episode.
Ricky Wonka, which I coined, by the way.
What?
Comes in.
All right, he wants his ham and cheese.
Oh, a ham and cheese sandwich would be so good right now.
I was either Swiss or Gruyere, I was thinking.
Gruyere.
Gruyere.
Monster cheese.
I wish I knew French. It'd be cool.
French or ASL?
ASL first.
Yeah.
Because French people will clown on you for having a bad accent.
Really?
Yes! I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not trying to throw up every goddamn second. Yeah.
So, okay.
Also, no, okay, we're not going to talk about French right now, but I have a lot of problems with French. I don't know if you've ever seen how French is spelled. It's spelled in the most phonetically incorrect way possible.
French. Oh, like the
way that they spell in French, it does not, like, you know how, like, beau can be, like, B-E-U-S. Why?
Yeah, why is there an X?
Why?
What sound does an X make?
And you're
French?
using the Roman alphabet, so it means the same, like, it's the same, like, phony, right? So what the fuck were they doing?
Yeah.
French is so interesting, and they're just
They just stole it from the Romanians.
beautiful,
Right?
beautiful language, beautiful romantic language, but just the way
I made that
spelled.
joke, by the way. It didn't say that in the show.
Okay, the ham and cheese of what you're talking about.
Anyways.
Whatever.
Anyways, Ricky Wonka comes and Ricky Wonka shows up and he's like, no, this factory guy, he knows what he's talking about. It's unfair that you've been working here for 15 years and have had no raise. You know what? Here are the keys to a Lamborghini and a car. Or like, he gives him the key and he's like, you're free now, and here's a bunch of money. And then as he's walking out towards the car, Willy Wonka shoots him in the head with something that like puts him in a time loop, replaying that moment of him achieving freedom for the first time. And then it's a new commercial that's like, there was a Rick that killed his supervisor and then experienced freedom for the first time. We captured that moment and put it on a wafer.
Yeah.
Simple Rick's Deluxe or something. Like, and then
Yeah.
I thought that was such a clever, like, Oh, I just love that.
It disturbed me a lot.
It
It reminds me of like when you're at your wit's end and you can never be free. You'll just never be free. I think a lot of that episode is just about like you'll never be free because even when Morty becomes president, he then kind of becomes a little evil.
Well,
he was always evil.
He was always evil,
but you don't find that out until.
Is he really evil because
at the very end?
All he's doing is just like not putting up with the. At least in this episode, all he's doing is like trying to not be under Rick's control. Like he's like, oh, it's done. Like Rick control is over. It's now a different, like I'm changing things.
I don't think he's evil for doing that. It's more just like his character throughout this is like Robert Redford's character in like The Candidate, where he's just like so reasonable and like not upset, and he seems like so easygoing and like personable. And then you just
at the end
you kind of see the change where he's sort of like, actually this whole time what's been driving me, I have been fed up. And so I don't think he's evil. It's more just like his character. You see it change in that
his
moment.
Speech. He gave like a really really good speech about he's like, there are Ricks out there making pennies to their Rick compared to their Rick bosses, and even though
they're the same age and have the same IQ.
Yeah,
that was funny.
That was cool. And it cut to the Rick in the factory during that speech. There's also another plot of these 3 Mortys or 4 Mortys that decide to go to this wishing well.
Oh yeah.
And
Lizard Morty.
Yeah. And there's Drama Morty and there's Fat Morty and there's Lizard Morty.
No, left-handed Morty.
That was hilarious.
When Lizard Morty said you should use your left hand to eat more vegetables, I was like, what the fuck?
That was crazy.
That was wild. The misdirect of the left hand. I thought I was left-handed Morty. And then pause. You should use your left hand to eat more vegetables. I think that was the one time I was really tired when I was watching these. Yeah. That was the one time I laughed out loud.
I laughed out loud at that one too. That was crazy. The delivery, I think,
that murdered me. The delivery from that one guy because he's playing every fucking character in this entire fucking episode. How did he do that?
Like 30 different.
He is
roles.
very talented. I do want to put that out there.
Well, it's all the same voice, which is even kind of makes it funnier because he's doing, I guess, different voices.
Yeah, there are really just 2 different voices.
There's 2. There's
Rick and Morty.
But he plays
Rick,
off
Morty,
of each other so
and then there's
well.
like my weird Rick voice, which is also like 80 different characters. And then there's my weird Morty voice, which is like less Morty.
Yeah. To have a separate storyline when there's 4 Mortys just talking to each other. And it's the same guy doing the same Morty voice, but different. It's interesting. But so they go to this wishing well, and what the wishing well works in the way that you have to throw something valuable in the wishing well, and your wish will come true. And left-handed Morty throws in like a panini machine or something, and it's like, I wish for 1,000,000 sandwiches. And then
I see how that's ironic.
Yeah. Was it ironic because he's fat or because it's a panini machine which could make 1,000,000 sandwiches?
I'm pretty sure it was the panini machine.
Okay.
Because he threw away the thing that could make him sandwiches.
Yeah. Okay. And the Lizard Morty, I forget what he throws away.
He throws away like a puka shell necklace. He's like, I wish I had anything, but I have this stupid necklace. He throws the necklace.
Drama Morty, who his whole thing is that he has like a drama implant or something.
In dramatic fashion, what does he throw in the shoe?
He throws himself into the wishing well.
Yep.
And is like, I hope that, I forget what he wished for. I hope for things to be different or something. I don't know. It was some dramatic bullshit.
Some just fucking bullshit. Right-handed Morty was fucking stupid.
And then it ends with Morty, the candidate, wins. And I wish I could go more in depth about the policeman story because that was so cool too. The way that it ends with like the Rick needing to kill the Morty because he like was about to kill
a Morty
and then tried to kill Rick too. It was this was a fucking awesome episode. I would recommend to just go watch it. Like I
for sure.
really really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. I thought there were so many, like, all 4 of them, the way that they connected into this, like, social commentary was super cool. Like I really, really enjoyed this episode.
There's a lot of moving parts in this. A lot of moving
I
parts.
feel like I'm yapping.
And I feel like the episodes from 1 to now, which what is it, episode or season 3 right now?
Yeah.
Everything has gotten so much more dense.
Yeah.
I think, barring the first season's episode, it was still a little bit like dense and like the setting up the Citadel and stuff, but it was still like pretty linear in story.
Yeah.
It was like Rick is framed; he has to get unframed. Second season, there's it's literally a bit.
Yeah.
The whole episode's
a bit. Yeah.
Season 3, it's like this commentary about the social aspects of like being like prejudice, and there's like the second class citizens and there's the hierarchy.
Yeah.
It feels like there is an upward trajectory. So the thesis of our episode, did Rick and Morty fall off?
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't seem like it's falling off. It seems like it's going up.
It seems like it's getting better. It seems like there's like this episode had a lot of depth. I already said that. Anyway.
A lot of heart.
Yes.
As I said at the top of the episode, because I want that to be my opinion to be stated, I don't think it's fallen off. I don't think. I mean, like I only watched one episode of this last season, and I bet the voice acting is a little jarring, but I still think that they have really talented writers, and that like the feel of the show, is. It hasn't gone. People are acting like it's gone on for like 22 seasons, like Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not that far, and I don't see Rick and Morty being a show that will go on for 22 seasons. You know, so I don't think it's fallen off, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hold my opinion for a little bit. Let's speed
from 1 to 3. There's no fall off.
There's no fall off. Okay, the next one is the Vat of Acid episode, season 4, episode 8.
Here it is.
Oh,
so interesting.
Yeah. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I don't know if anyone else wants to.
Well, Will, you have the floor.
Well,
okay.
This is the episode where Morty gets a device that allows him to like replay.
No, we must start at the beginning.
We have to
with the Vat of Acid.
We must start at the beginning
Okay,
because that is
it's called the Vat of Acid episode. We
and that is
the Vat of Acid.
That is fully relevant to the rest of this episode.
And I thought it wasn't gonna be when I was watching. I was like, okay, why is it called the Vat of? It's literally called the Vat of Acid. Anyway, basically it starts with Rick and Morty talking to this like drug dealer or something.
They're trading crystals.
They're trading crystals, and Rick reveals that the backup plan if things go south is they're going to jump into a fake vat of acid that Rick had planted. That's just like that's like Mountain Dew and bubbles or something.
Mm-hmm. Hot Mountain Dew
and bubbles. I don't think it was boiling because that.
No, they would have died.
Yeah,
it was definitely hot. He said like warm Mountain Dew at the end. He's like, it's like warm Mountain Dew.
And basically Rick is saying, or Morty's like, really? That's your plan? Like jump into a vat of, like how corny? Like you couldn't think of anything better?
And Morty's already pissy at the beginning of this episode. Like he's upset. Like he feels like Rick is being lazy.
Yeah.
Rick introduces like his auto parking mechanism on his spaceship, and Morty's like not impressed. And Rick is like, well, I thought it was cool. Morty and Rick have some tension in this episode.
They do. And so things do end up going south. So they end up jumping into the vat of acid. There's like a tube for air at the bottom. There's fake bones at the bottom, and then they have like a receiver so they can hear what's going on at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the crystal dude, who's like a kind of is like, oh, they just jumped into the well, this ruins my fucking day.
Have you seen that? There's a tweet that's like, I'm gonna kill myself in front of a bunch of frat bros to like change the trajectory of their lives. Rick and Morty killed themselves in front of this guy, so he's having an existential crisis.
Boss.
He's like, I don't know anybody who would do something like that. I gotta reminisce
that
about
had to be
this.
Painful, right? Like there was like 5 seconds before the bones came up. That
it must have
like
been agonizing. I gotta sit here and just live in this moment for a bit. So the vat of acid goes wrong too. So they're just sitting in that vat of acid waiting for this guy to like leave, and he's like reminiscing. He's like, and that's why my mom left me when I was a kid. He's like, we got it, boss. Yeah.
And then there's a point where it's like, are we sure that's acid or something? Let's stick a ladle in and see what happens. And they stick a ladle. Rick has a plan for this and shoots it. And then also he's like, well, let's throw this rat in here and see if the rat dies or something. And he has like spared bones or something. And he starts whittling the spare bones to look like tinier bones or something and have them float to the top. Anyway, eventually Morty gets tired of it and he sticks his head up. He's like, oh, just fucking God damn it. And
just
then
leave.
and then just kills them. And then Rick is like, really, like, you ruined my vat of acid. And then the entire ride back is completely silent and it's awkward. And then they get into an argument. And I forget what the argument's about.
The argument is about Morty believing that Rick is kind of lazy with some of his ideas and he thinks all of his ideas are brilliant. And Morty's like, well, whenever I have an idea, you think all of mine are stupid, but all of Rick's ideas are smart. Even the stupid vat of acid idea, which is lazy and dumb. And Rick is like, no, all my ideas are smart and yours are fucking stupid. And Morty's like, well, what about my idea to have the save point in real life? And Rick's like, that's stupid and I'm not going to make it. Morty gets wise to it and he's like, oh, I get it. You can't make it, Rick. Rick's like, no, I can't make it. It's just stupid. And Morty's like, no, you can't. You can't make it. Rick's like, yes, I can. Fuck you. Fuck you, Rick. Fuck you. And then he like gets all his shit. Are you making it, Rick? Yes, I'm fucking making it. And he makes the save point device.
Yeah. Yeah, he makes a save point device, gives it to Morty. Morty's having fun with it. He's just like doing shit. Like he's more confident. He pulls down the teacher's pants at school.
Yeah, because he can save a point in time and then reload his save point like a video game.
Yeah, yeah. And so he's like going up to Jessica, his crush, in a bunch of different ways. He's like doing crazy shit with like, what was his name? Heroin Harold or something?
Yeah. Shut up, Heroin Harold.
That was crazy. And then bunch of crazy shit, and then he opens the door for a girl at the coffee shop. They hit it off. They fall in love. They break up. They get back together. They go on a trip. The plane breaks, or he packs his device and to the trip. The plane goes down and crashes, but they survive in the tundra, and they start like They're like trying to survive. They're eating shoes,
and they end up eating people.
Yeah, they resort to cannibalism, and this whole time, Morty has this button, and he could easily press the button and go back to the save point.
No, he lost the button.
No, he has it.
It flew off the plane. That's why he went back to his backpack.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he goes, and at this point, he never saved his place because he's been so happy with his girlfriend that he felt the need to use that remote anymore. And it's been like probably a few years at this point, right?
Yeah, it was.
And then he goes to, he's like, wait, don't give up hope. He finds the back half of the plane, which fell like a couple miles like in a different direction. And he ventures on his own in the cold. And he finds his backpack, which has the remote where he could press the button and go back before he met his lover, and his phone. And he puts down the remote, turns on his phone, takes his phone, he has these bloody frostbitten fingers, types 911. There's blood and skin sticking to the fucking phone as he's typing 911 to call, and then he like collapses as he's about to call 911. And then a rescue out of nowhere, like a rescue helicopter comes. They get saved. They went through all this together. They get back, like they keep having a few more good memories, and then one day they're all watching the just a TV show together as a family with Morty's new girlfriend, and Jerry sees the remote in Morty's backpack.
A remote.
A remote for the TV. Points at the TV, presses the button, takes him back to before he met his girlfriend. He's like, no, fuck.
And then Morty goes up to her like a crazy person, like, let me explain, I love you and we're together.
Presses the button while he's getting pepper sprayed, and then he keeps like going back to him getting pepper. It was funny. It was
tragic. It's a really tragic concept. It's a great idea and a tragic concept.
The culmination of this episode is that he goes back to Rick, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sorry. And Rick is like, okay, You want me to explain to you what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
So what I was doing was I was transporting you into another dimension where the reality of you doing what you thought you wanted to do existed. And I just killed that Morty that was going to do it and transported you there. So now that reality was your reality. And I kept doing that for every single thing. So you've killed hundreds, thousands, millions of Mortys.
Yeah,
and Morty's like, what? Reset it. Get rid of it. I mean, Rick is like that, but there's a save point to where I invented this. We could stop all of this.
Yeah,
and Morty's like, okay, let's stop this. And Rick is like, okay, I'll do it. I'm not even your Rick anyway. Morty's like, what?
But the catch is that if he goes back there, he did all of the things.
He has to
reality.
face the consequences because all of them have been done just in like different dimensions.
Yeah, yeah.
Where he would like pull down the teacher's pants, like you said.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of heinous shit, which we learned. He like would sexually harass people.
Yeah,
he would like
yeah.
go and like fiddle with like the AARP and like marginalized communities and just fuck with them. Morty was
Everyone was upset at him.
Everybody.
Every community ever wanted him dead.
So Rick, to teach Morty a lesson, gathers all of the people that like Morty has done wrong in front of the house so Morty can like face the consequences. And the only way to stop this is to get into the vat of acid and kill himself.
He planted a vat of acid in the front yard and was like, well, there's one way out of this, Morty.
But it's a stupid idea, right? Real stupid,
and he was like, oh my fucking God.
I'm getting in the acid. And then the SWAT team is like, don't get in that acid, you'll kill yourself. It's like, okay. Okay, fine. Goes in the acid, releases the bones. All the people that Morty has wronged are like, oh, he's dead. What a good idea. The bones fell up so seamlessly because he died and he's dead. And they all leave. His girlfriend comes in, is like crying, like, Morty's dead. They all disperse.
And then the episode ends, right?
Well, apparently that wasn't even Morty's reality anyway or something.
Oh, yeah.
Rick was like, oh, I just did that to fuck with you.
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh, yeah, you think I'd ruin a good reality to teach you a fucking lesson?
Yeah,
no,
like,
let's go back.
No, this is a world where, like, raspberries grow on trees
and
or
9/11
something.
didn't happen.
Yeah. He's like, this is actually a pretty cool reality.
Yeah.
So, in summary, this episode, Morty hurt Rick's feelings, so Rick does an elaborate scheme to get back at Morty.
Yeah. I like this episode because it's clever, it's digestible to someone who hasn't seen the show really, and it's complicated. It's complicated in a way that isn't complicated just to be complicated, which I feel like some episodes have been in Rick and Morty in some of the later seasons. A glimpse into my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I also really enjoyed this episode. Caroline?
I love this episode, and I wish I could have seen, be a fly on the wall in the writer's room, and someone was like, okay, let's think of the most traumatizing thing that could happen. Well, let's just assume he got a girlfriend, and it went really well, and he had, like, a loving relationship. IHOP? Fruity Tooty What? Eric,
come take a seat.
We're about to eat these on Face Jam.
Oh, God, no.
We were about to eat these on Face Jam.
Wait, is that a
You know
banoodle?
what? That 100% tastes like bile.
What the fuck did you say?
Is that a banoodle?
I don't know.
Okay.
Banoodle.
Is it like this all the time?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just ate at IHOP. We had
Yeah.
the Girl Scout pancakes.
Yeah.
And then this is from Tony, the merch team. And he said, yeah, try these. Rudy Tooty.
It's bad, right? That has to taste like bile.
Strawberry.
Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity. You have to try
Strawberry
it first. I gave you so much
potato chip.
fucking food last time. You have to try it first, dude.
Sammie, you're completely.
Yeah, he's right. He's coloring
Yeah, but you need to show your
Not-
face. You need to show your face as
turn
reaction.
around. Just turn around.
Oh,
Just
they
turn
got you. They have
can't
you.
see Caroline at all.
I can't. I will throw up.
I'll eat it.
I promise I'll throw up.
Come on, will you try a little? Just a little.
Oh God. It's like
Oh my
the
fucking
last
God.
time we did the IHOP challenge.
It works. I promise you it works.
Cap Kat
Holy
wants
shit.
to try this so bad.
That's so weird.
Strawberry pancakes Lay's.
She's not on mic. Kat just said, this looks good.
If there are any left over,
not
where will they
bad.
be?
I'll give them to you.
Really?
Yeah, you can have them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a
What do you
common,
say?
Thank you.
There's a common theme of them giving me food and me saying no to it because I'm afraid I'll throw up.
And then what happens?
And then I love it.
Of course. It's important to try new things. It's important to get out of your bubble.
That's a
It's
banoodle.
true, but then the
by the
amount of
way.
times I've thrown up because of that philosophy, it's like too many times now that I'm like, you know what? I have to set boundaries with myself.
I understand.
Set boundaries.
You fuck with it? Okay.
6.5, I think.
6.5?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on to the next episode. How long have we been recording for?
An hour 10.
Number 10.
We're on track. We're making pretty good time for 7 episodes.
We're on track to 2 hours.
No,
Well, how many episodes do we have left?
we have 3 more. We've done 4
Okay.
out of 4 out of
The
7, an hour 10 minutes,
the
and 10 of
short
those minutes is
episode.
like just like us before we started. I think.
I think the
Okay.
you don't cover your mouth after you burp.
It came out and I tried to stop it, and I was trying because the burp came out and the air was already over here, so I was trying to catch the air. And
You can
bring
do a
it back into
split
my-
view?
I catch
What? Wait, Sammie and Wilcam.
He's not doing that. Now he is? Oh, Will. You're being humiliated.
For the audio listeners, it smell like duty ass.
Nope, it smells like pumpkin and sunshine.
Don't even worry about it.
Okay, so this next one is season 5, episode 10, Rick, Mariah, Jack.
Oh, this is such an interesting episode that I didn't like that much. Okay, you know what? I have to be honest. What season is this?
5.
This is season 5. I didn't love this episode, and I kind of, not that like Rick and Morty was falling off to me, but I was sort of like, oh, this is just like Rick and Morty is going through like a growth period. Like it is going through puberty now. It's a teenager, and it's like trying new things, and like that's what that episode felt like. It didn't feel like it was falling off. It just sort of felt like it was finding new footing.
I'd agree with that.
Put that on a
That
fucking
makes sense.
t-shirt.
Oh,
and sell
nice
it.
shoes.
Thank you, Converse. Are these cute?
They're great. They're really cute. the
Shout out
shoes.
Converse.
Shout out Converse. Okay, so this episode starts out with Rick going like on a complete side quest where he has like 2 crow sidekicks, or something.
They replaced Morty essentially.
Yeah, they replaced Morty, and Morty's upset, and he's like, "Hey, Rick, you coming back anytime soon?" And Rick's like, "No, I have to defeat
The big bad.
the big bad, which is the
crow scare?
crow scare. Is that what it
His
was?
arch nemesis.
Yeah, arch nemesis was the crow scare. He defeats these like mini bosses and stuff. Morty comes back and he's like 40 years old. He's like, "Rick, you've been gone for so long. When you?" And he's like, "Oh my God, Morty, are you like, how long have I been gone?" And Morty's like, "A long time." And then but then Rick doesn't even care really. He just keeps going and fighting the mini bosses. And so he finally gets to the big bad boss, and it turns out that the big bad boss and his crows were like having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
They were exploring each other's
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah.
And then
Good for the crows, by the way. Right?
Shout
Right?
out the crows.
Right?
Good for crow scare.
True.
But
I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Will,
all
are
I-
you happy for them?
no, because it seems like
Yeah.
they're like they'd be upset. Isn't the whole point of crow scare to scare the crows?
Well, no, he's scared. He's not scarecrow. He's
No,
crow scare.
Is he scared of crows then?
No.
He scares the crows?
No,
No.
crow scare.
Like it's like like crows have scare, and that's the kind of scare that he's experiencing, which
Oh,
is
okay.
crow.
Yeah, whatever.
So
yeah, okay.
doesn't
It's
like-
ironic,
He doesn't
Will.
like people
I don't
seeing
get it.
like being happy, I guess.
You know what?
Clearly.
Maybe if I was happier, then
Now the key's in the other cup holder.
You know what?
That's another
fair, Will.
catchphrase.
That's fair, Will. I totally see how you just shitting on everybody else comes from your own insecurity, and I'm glad that you've acknowledged that.
maybe. Well, I don't like that you said that, but maybe if I was smarter, then I'd be more appreciative of that. Okay, I'm good. Let's move on. Anyway,
Okay.
so Rick, after finding out that they're like his arch nemesis and his sidekicks are fucking, he's like, "Oh, this stupid fucking bullshit." Anyway, he goes back home. Turns out Morty had taken like a sketchy age like injection or something that ages him, just to make Rick feel bad about like being gone. And in reality, like a month has passed or something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to get back to his young self, so they have to go to the Citadel to like reverse.
That's where
it.
he bought the age serum.
He got the age. Yeah. And so they go to the Citadel to undo it, and I forget.
Well, they go to build a Morty, and then they split him in half, and then they split, and then they push him back together, and then 14-year-old Morty comes out, but then the remaining 26-year-old comes out, then he dies.
Yeah.
This episode is about them, or Evil Morty invites them. Not Evil Morty yet. I guess we don't know.
President Morty.
President Morty invites them to have some dinner. Morty accepts because he's like, "Oh, a Morty president. That's awesome." And Rick's like, "I don't know. It's weird. There's weird stuff going on." But Morty's like, "Let's just go, Rick and Morty." And then they have dinner. Evil Morty is like, President Morty has dinner with them. Rick thinks the food is poison, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, Morty. Rick, Porty, Morty.
Okay.
What?
No, you're good. You're
Rigor
good.
Mortis. He tells them that he is evil. He does end. He's like, "I'm evil. Yep, I'm evil now." And he's like, "I just scan your brain, Rick. Sorry." And Rick's like, "What? You think you could scan my brain over like a dinner?" And he's like, "Nope, I scanned your brain before." And then that's when Rick's like, "For all the Rick heads out there, go to season 1, episode 10 to see what that was talking about." He is Evil Morty. That's the reveal. Because they scanned his brain in season 1, episode 10 to like get some information, and he just needed the remaining thing because he wants the plan. Because we find out that Rick was he had a hand in like inventing the Citadel.
Yeah.
Evil Morty. Now I got that right. Evil Morty wants to get the
Morty.
schematics. Okay, sorry. That's evil Mr. Morty president to you. That's my father. He wants the schematics to like this multiversal ring. All of the Ricks made like a barrier around the universe, so every Morty, wherever you go, there is Mortys are not superior. It is always Rick.
There's a Rick and a Morty, and every Rick has a Morty
in every universe, and there is a barrier
called the central finite curve.
And if you go through that curve, or if you even just destroy the curve, you can go through and go to the universes where Ricks don't even exist.
Yeah.
There are universes where there's no Rick at all.
Yeah.
So he needed that. He needed Rick's brain to get that plan.
Yeah.
He ends up getting it, destroys the Citadel, goes through a portal, and I think that's the last we ever see of Evil Morty.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other episodes that I didn't see, but I think that's the last we ever see.
I've seen a couple of that. I think Evil Morty comes back at some point. But
that is the episode.
Yeah. I was kind of overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time by this episode. Like I was overwhelmed. There was a lot of, because I was trying to like, I was trying to like I was like doing laundry and like cooking while I was watching these episodes, and this one I found myself rewinding a lot because I had to like go back in order for stuff to make sense, which is like fine. Like it's not a bad thing for a show to like need my full undivided attention, but this is where it started getting into the range of like. You have to like have so much, like even the fact that they had to go. Well, I guess it was more of a bit for them to be like, check out this episode for more context. But like I don't want to have to like, this. It's where like for Rick and Morty specifically to need so much context for like things to make sense, and it felt like they were rushing through a lot of the context in the episode 2. Like when Morty like was. There was a flashback to see Rick like building the Citadel. It seemed like there was just so much going on, but like it wasn't that. I like the idea of this central finite curve, and it's cool that like Evil Morty went through it, but I didn't really like. I don't know. It wasn't that clever to me, and it was a little too complicated.
I think I like watching all of these seasons in succession to see how complicated these episodes are getting.
Yeah.
And I maybe I am misinterpreting how I feel about this, but for example, that little pop up where he's like, mustache Rick, check out Rick, all the Rick heads. I was like, this is just this was like something that they had to add like in post. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. You're gonna add Rick in the top. That shit was fucking hilarious. I think I loved how complicated and just like not nonsense, but like a lot of
like the complicatedness.
Well,
of it.
I like when people just make stuff just to make it without any regard for like the audience. It's like we wanted to make this because we thought it was funny and we thought it was cool. And I actually don't give a fuck about if it even makes sense.
Yeah.
We just made it. And I think I respect that.
Okay.
From like a TV
but did you,
show.
Did you personally like find the episode enjoyable to consume as a viewer?
There was a multitude of factors. I think that also contributed to me enjoying the episode just by how like balls to the wall, like let's just like throw everything and then just see what sticks.
Yeah.
There's an episode, I think either in this season or in the next season. It's like the train episode, and it's a self-referential episode about the process of writing Rick and Morty. And that must be a Dan Harmon like led episode. Because it's referencing Dan Harmon's like story circle, like the thing that he created to like structure television shows or just any kind of
which we learned. I've learned in class before. Dan Harmon's story circle. It's like very well known in the like the writing community.
And it's of course. And so it basically they're kind of aware. I feel like as a show, or the writers are aware that they are, as you said, like not necessarily spoon feeding the episode to the viewers. Like they're doing what they want. They're taking liberties. They're getting really weird with it. They're getting very creative with it. They're like, oh yeah, this kind of works. And then when it gets too complicated, they'll throw in like a, Rick Head's bit. But for the most part, they kind of know what they're doing. And I think that they're like, guys, please allow us to, this is what writers have to do in order to keep a show going and make it enjoyable, because part of that episode where they're talking about the story circle, you like see this little alien character that I think is supposed to be a Dan Harmon insert, and he's basically just like, why am I even doing this anymore? I don't even know what more do you need? What more do you want?
Is it Joe Biden?
no, like
Rick and Morty.
No, it's less like that. But that's where I'm kind of like, I kind of get why people are like, it's falling off. But for me, I'm like, this is just the creative process. And this is such a creative show. Like it needs to have a growing pain, needs to go through puberty. It needs to have voice cracks to get its footing again. But I will say, this is one of those episodes where I was like, it is so like, let's try and make this concept work, this weird concept work as a story. And we'll just like, the crow thing is sort of like the icing on a not on a turd pie. It's the icing on like a very dry cake. And so you think that it's a moist cake, but really it's not. It's just slathered in icing. So it's not really the best dessert. But it's still sweet. It's still a good show, and it still tastes like Rick and Morty.
Oh, I like that metaphor. I'm in awe.
I think that this episode, I don't have any insight into how the writers wrote the episode, but I feel like it was exactly how they intended it to be.
Yeah.
I think that this was what they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And I just plainly I liked it. I liked the episode, and I think it was in line with like the trajectory of where Rick and Morty was going.
Is it still, where's the curve still? Is it still going up for you in these episodes?
Honestly, it's honestly like this to me. I've liked most of the episodes pretty equally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've liked like all of them kind of the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The first episode I didn't even really like that much.
Oh, really?
Of season 1.
Yeah.
So it kind of was like sort of like this.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
I've liked all of them pretty equally, or so far.
So moving on to Solar Rick's. Okay.
Solar Ricks. I remember bits and pieces, but I'm trying to remember the whole thing.
It's actually the episode directly after.
Yeah.
Because the one before that we just talked about was the season finale of season 5, and this is the first episode of season 6. So at the end of season 5, Evil Morty, as he was leaving, he pretty much destroyed the Citadel.
Yeah. So they're just floating in space.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just floating in space, and I guess they're like starving or something. And Rick and Morty are like about to die, and the portal fluid is still like corrupted or something.
It's like splooging.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
flaccid portal fluid. And they do make an Avengers reference at the beginning where Rick is like, Captain's log, blah, 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 blah. Something like the guy from the Avengers. And Morty's like, yeah, Rick, why'd you pretend you didn't know Iron Man? Who was that for?
Who was that for?
Who was that for? that was kind of funny.
I thought that was a good, yeah. Even though I didn't get it, I was like, that was probably funny. I like it when they do that. I like when they.
When they, like, break
there
the
is a
fourth
joke
wall.
in Rick and Morty that I really, really fucking love, where Rick's like, "This is like that time when like Rick Hansen made that thing on his fan," and the kids are like, "Yeah, that's so funny. It is like that time when Rick Hansen did that thing on the thing," and he's like, "I just made Rick Hansen up, and you both pretended to laugh because you wanted to be a part of the fucking joke." And I love that because when I was like 12,
It'd be even funnier if you made up that scene.
I didn't, but
Will's just laughing.
I was 13 when I watched that. I was 13 when I watched that, and when he made that joke of like, "This is the time when like Rick," I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And then he was like, "You don't know what the fuck I'm talking about." He was like, "He's talking to me." So there's a lot of stuff like that I love.
Being in the audience and falling for that joke.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a new character that hasn't been introduced yet in the episodes that we've seen called Space Beth.
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know what was
Can I give some context because I know what this is about? Okay, there is an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick invents like kind of like the interdimensional cable, but it's like a VR headset where you can kind of see different realities, like different versions of yourself experiencing other realities. And so they're so like Jerry has an alternate dimension where he's like this really famous actor who's like doing cocaine with like Kristen Stewart and Johnny Depp. There's an what? I
don't know if you were going to say this, and I'm sorry if you were, but it's the depth of that episode too is that like all of the cool realities that Beth and Jerry exist in are the ones where Summer and Morty aren't born.
Yeah.
So like it's basically saying that like they ruined the parents' lives.
Well,
and all of Summer and Morty's are like boring because
like playing Yahtzee.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many universes where they exist because their parents Beth decided to keep the pregnancy, or that Jerry
and they're all every universe where Summer and Morty exist, like Jerry and Beth are losers because they're born.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to include that.
But it's funny that you say that because kind of I think the point of that episode, in the reality where Jerry is this like super famous actor and Beth is like a real surgeon, she's not just a horse surgeon, because that's like a whole thing with Beth's character is that she's like, I am a real doctor, but you work on horses, so like you're not a real doctor.
You're a horse doctor.
And there's in this reality where Jerry is this really famous actor, he like ends up getting on like a low speed motorcycle chase with the police where he's like kind of coked out and like shaved his head. He's totally lost his mind. He's having like a manic episode, and you see him like drive to Beth's home where Beth lives, and Beth has been crying because she's so alone, and Jerry's like, Beth Sanchez, I fell in love with you in high school. I've like had this whole career. I know you're a doctor now, but like I loved you, and I kind of regret not having a family with you and like not inviting you to prom or whatever it was. And Beth like cries, and you both see them kind of like their marriage repair as a result of this episode. But what we do learn is that Beth, oh shit, maybe I'm mixing them up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think that Beth.
No, but it's important because Beth's character is always sort of like what could have been if I wasn't doing this. So that's just sort of like setting up her character as like she's a mom, but she's not satisfied with her life, and so.
There's an alternate reality.
Rick is kind of like, we can bring in an alternate reality, Beth, to replace you, and you can go off and have space adventures by yourself. And that's a whole episode where Beth isn't sure if she's the clone or not, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the episode that says, I forget how that.
Yeah, this is the episode where she doesn't know she's a clone.
No.
No, this is just the episode where Space Beth comes in and they have sex with each other.
No.
Okay, that's
What?
another
Okay,
episode.
okay. I'm
Yeah, Space
so
Beth
confused.
and regular Beth have sex because like having sex with yourself like is awesome apparently.
I don't
It's like,
think so.
why
I think
not?
that was one writer in the writers' room that was like, we should totally go with this idea. And they were like, I don't know. They're like, no, we should totally go with this idea.
So-
Which honestly is kind of cool because they have like a weird pseudo-lesbian relationship with each other by the end
It's
of it.
because they get along so well because they're the same person. I think that they're like they enjoy the same things, so
They
they
love
keep
each other.
having fun, and then they eventually are like, what if we just explored
Each other's bodies.
each other's bodies?
Because we know what we like.
Because we know so much about each other's bodies, you know.
So just to circle back, who is Space Beth?
Okay, so
Just to circle back real quick.
Space Beth is the Beth that Rick kind of relieves of her duties as a mother and is like, go out and just enjoy space and have space adventures. Don't worry about your kids. We're going to replace you with another Beth. With a clone, you're good. And so Space Beth is the Beth that decided to... Wait, is this the Mr. Meeseeks episode or am I dumb?
No.
No,
Mr.
I'm
Meeseeks
okay.
is like
I'm
season one.
mixing these up so much. There's so many episodes where Beth is sort of like not satisfied with her life and is like
Yeah.
looking for ways to get out of it. But okay,
Yeah.
so this is the Beth that like went and had space adventures and is kind of like her dad. So she comes back with like a scar and like half shaved head.
And
She's cool, Beth.
She's
cool,
basically
Beth.
just cool Beth.
Yeah.
So they end up. Space Beth saves Rick and Morty from whatever situation they're in. They go back to their reality, and Rick starts to reset the portal fluid using like a machine or something. And on accident, he accidentally resets all of the portal travelers. So anyone who's ever traveled through a portal, I guess.
Wasn't it everyone who's not in their current reality?
That's
getting
what it
reset?
was. That's what it was. You're right. So yes, anyone who is in their wrong reality is reset to their original reality. So Rick goes back to
Where his wife got killed.
Oh yeah, Rick goes back to where his wife got killed, and he has he set up like a wife like Alexa voice or something, or like
To fuck
AI
with him.
voice to torture him basically. And Morty goes back to his reality, which was like blown up or something, or like there was an apocalypse and Jerry is still alive, but he's like
Cool. Jerry.
yeah
Prehistoric Jerry.
He's like caveman and
Like apocalyptic
and it's
Jerry.
like
He learned to
eating.
survive.
He learned to survive on his own.
Yeah.
And Jerry goes back. What's up with Jerry's?
I don't even remember where he went. Oh, he went to where like Mr. Frungles. Was that Mr. Frungles? The universe where Mr. Frungles was?
Yeah. But that's at the very end of the episode. At the beginning, I think it was just like a.
I don't even think they show
Bad
where Jerry
family.
went to.
No. It's just I just remember they pick him up and like he was just like being yelled at. He was like, "Jerry, get a fucking job." Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
He just goes back to where he was before.
And there's like a other thing that I don't really know where.
I vaguely remember this episode, and this was the episode that I was not able to rewatch in time.
Yeah. Are there any other? I'm actually like reading the synopsis right now because I'm like.
Well,
it wasn't that memorable for me.
Because this was the first episode of the season, so it was a lot of setup for like other things. They go back to at the end. They go back to they go to a reality and then kill all of the family and then bury them.
Well, they did that because they went back to their original reality, but Rick had like a pet named Frumples or something.
Frumples killed the Earth.
Yeah.
Because Frumples, like when Frumples bites something, it then becomes Frumples.
Yeah.
So then Frumples just
Frumples!
keeps biting everything, and then it ends up biting. America bites like another country, and then they become Frumple, and then everything bites, and then the Earth
world
is
is
Frumple.
Frumple.
Yeah. So this episode, I think we explained it kind of succinctly because it was very like setup-y.
Yeah.
It was like Rick, they go to their other dimensions. It's Beth, and Summer, and they're trying to like get Rick back and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
sure all the Rick heads out there enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I was just confused because I didn't know there was a lot of things that were clearly being referenced that I didn't know about. Like
a lot of references.
wherever Morty went, like to his original time, he was like
What
referencing
happened to
stuff.
that?
I was so confused.
Yeah.
I was really confused.
I'm surprised the clone episode is not on this list. The one where they like Rick basically from one universe is like threatening to kill himself or other Ricks, and then there's just like a whole. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's a really great episode, and I'm not gonna be able to explain it. But I wish that was on this list.
I wish, you know what? I was really hoping the hive mind, where because Rick has a relationship with like a hive mind.
Oh yeah,
I love that episode. I was hoping that one would be on here.
That's so funny. That's a really good episode. I also love the episode where they go inside their inside the car's like generator to find that he has like a whole society that's like generates the power, and then it keeps going into and more Nathan societies. Fielder's in that episode.
Really?
Yeah, he plays like the smallest scientist, but they all like do the version of like he flips everybody off. And he's like, I told him this means peace on Earth, and then like in the other episode he does like the peace sign. He's like, I told him this means peace on Earth. It's so funny. There's so many good episodes of Rick and Morty. Yeah. It's funny that it makes sense that IMDb like prefers the lore episodes, but like there's so many that is like pure.
And also I'm biased because I having seen a lot more Rick and Morty, I don't have those feelings about a lot of the newer episodes. Like I haven't enjoyed them to the same like to where I look back and I'm like, oh, just genius. Like it's I don't know. Like a lot of them are like there's some still cool concepts. Like, are we done talking about this season 6 one? The Solar Ricks?
because you brought up an interesting point that I would want to touch on.
The next episode.
Talk about like it falling off and how like I started watching this when I was like 13 and rewatched these seasons over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I haven't really rewatched the newer seasons, but for me, because I grew up with it, to me it's not like, oh my God, it's so much better than I remember. It's like, no, I grew up with it. It's matured and I've matured alongside it.
Mm.
And it is such a self-referential show that it kind of knows at a certain point what it's becoming. And I really respect that as a show. And the last season that we watched this very last season without Justin Roiland, I was still impressed that they pulled off a concept that I really liked and touched me as an adult. It's something that as a kid I probably wouldn't have appreciated when I started watching it as a 13-year-old. Now that I'm 20 and I've had these experiences, I'm like, oh my God, that is a real thing that I'm afraid of, is like just not knowing, uncertainty.
That's interesting. Yeah,
so, anyways, we'll continue.
Yeah, it still had some good, like, I don't want to say morals.
It was a good like
theme.
It was a great theme.
Yeah.
Great theme to touch on. Concept.
So let's get into it.
Last episode.
Last episode. How long are we rolling? That's not bad.
Well, yeah.
I was expecting this to take a lot longer, but
we'll finish it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Clean it up. Clean up on aisle. Loser.
Hyman, right?
The hypothetical Hyman's out there.
Ew.
Gross.
You said ew. That's our mascot.
Listen.
Okay, so this episode,
I'm listening.
I feel like I've been yapping. Anyone else?
Okay, this episode
by Rick.
Starts out Rick and Morty are on an adventure. This is a common like start to episodes where Rick and Morty are kind of like bored. They've seen everything. They're like in a scary nightmare world and they're like, this shit isn't scary anymore. Like we've seen too much. And Rod Sterling, essentially like kind of the guy from the Twilight Zone, a guy in a suit, a weird guy in a suit just pops out and he's like, you guys looking to be scared? Let's go to a scary place. And they go to Denny's. And the joke is that like Denny's is not really that bad. It's like a good place to get food. And it was like, yeah, that's.
Wait,
Hold on.
Was that the joke?
Let's pause. The joke is that Wait. You said Denny's is actually a good place to get food? Sorry.
No, they're like, we're going to go to a scary place, and they go to Denny's.
But I'm just curious if you personally believe Denny's is a good place to get food.
Just like they said in the show, Denny's is a good place to go at night. And if there was no food at 3 a.m, I've been on a road trip for 8 hours and I'm just looking to get mac and cheese and fucking like pancakes, I would fucking love Denny's.
Okay. You said mac and cheese and pancakes?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
It's been a long day. I don't actually eat that way anymore, but like as a 7-year-old, like I love the fucking mac and cheese.
Wait, that was good context that you could have provided. That completely that destroyed.
Yes.
What the fuck is going on?
So we go to the Denny's, and the guy at the Denny's is like, we're having a special on fucking pancakes, and if you're here for the whole, it's in the bathroom.
What was your point with that? What was your point?
What?
When asking that?
I don't know. I just
What?
You're just
maybe to piss her
starting
off.
shit.
Yeah, just to start shit.
Just to start shit. I know you, and you got Sammie fucking roped into it. I'm fucking done with it.
No,
So
the mac and cheese and pancakes thing, that was fully on me.
Denny's bathroom.
That was on me. Pancakes and mac and cheese is crazy.
If I want to eat pancake and mac and cheese as a 20-year-old, I should be
I thought you were 7. You lied. I thought you were 7.
No, but then I was like, okay, it doesn't fucking matter. There's a hole in the bathroom of the Denny's. Shut up! There's a hole in the back of the Denny's, and the Rod Serling character is like, guys, this is a place where if you go into it, you have to face your deepest fears, and then when you come out of the hole, you'll have faced your fears. And so Morty and is kind of like, maybe we shouldn't do it. And Rick is like, oh, I'm curious. So he pushes Morty into the hole. And we see Rick also go into the hole with him.
Rick jumps after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morty went in the hole on his own accord.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Morty goes on.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Morty, like, Rick is like, okay, we gotta go. We're not going in that hole. Then
Yeah.
Morty runs in and jumps in the hole.
and then Rick in this scenario jumps in after him, and you see like spooky, scary monsters, and you're like, oh my god, spooky, scary, and then all of a sudden they come out of the hole, and they're like, wow, that's crazy that and they took a little Polaroid picture because there's like 3 people that have done this.
On the wall.
You get to take a
wall.
picture of yourself when you're done with the hole, and so then they go home, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Rick that blows up his wife. Beams into this reality with Rick's wife, or Rick is a widow. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
And his wife that he's blown up. That's lore that you'd have to know that. But
Rick's wife
feels
in
guilty.
every single universe
has
is dead.
died. Yeah.
In the central finite curve.
And so they bring in Diane, and I fucking love this concept because I always wanted to see Diane as a character. I always wondered like who he had Beth with.
Yeah.
And so in this, when this scenario happens, Rick is like, okay, there's no way we're out of the hole because Diane is here.
What I'm thinking, we're still in the hole.
And that's a cute concept. And they're sort of like, okay, so my biggest fear is like losing Diane again. And Morty's like, I guess my biggest fear is that like I'm gonna. Well, no, Rick is like, your biggest fear is that I'd replace you. And Morty's like, that's so fucking rude. That's not my biggest fear. Whatever. Okay, so basically we see Rick kind of falling in love or rekindling his relationship with Diane. But as that's occurring, he's like slowly dying. And we're like, we don't know what the rules of the hole are, but I guess it's like eating on. Yeah. And I like that they made reference, like, we don't know what the rules are. And then Morty is like, I don't know what I'm afraid of. I guess like
he's going on his own journey.
Yeah,
to try to...
and he realizes like, oh, maybe the thing that I'm afraid of is not being accepted. Like if I do something that's socially unacceptable and not being accepted. And so he makes it his little plot, his little B plot is just to embarrass himself in crazy ways. He like goes up to a bully and like gives him a list of things that he likes about Jessica, his crush. And then he's like, "Are you fucking stupid?" And then he like does a play where he's naked. That stuff doesn't really matter because really I think the best part of this episode is that Morty and Rick keep trying to get out of the hole, but they don't know if they've really left the hole.
Yeah.
They don't know if
they fake outs. Like it's like they get out of the hole, and then it's like, well, you think our food is cold or something? And then it's like, that's my biggest fear is the food is cold. Or like,
food was too expensive. And he's like, it's actually part of a bigger problem. And that just keeps happening. And there's a point where he's like, maybe like my biggest fear is that I'll never know if I get out of the hole. Like maybe I just have to accept that I've always been in, like there's a point where he's like, maybe I was born in the hole. And I really like that. Like you don't know, maybe life is just being in a position where you are facing your biggest fears all the time. That's just life. That is the hole. Yeah. And I loved that concept. But we do get to a point where
there's one more. I really liked, there was one time that he got out of the hole, lived like 20 or 30 years.
Yes.
And then looks in the mirror and Morty's like, I look like my dad,
or
and then
my dad.
And then it resets, and he's still in the hole, and he's like, "Oh God!" Like another 20 years wasted. And then
and it's really sweet how it ends, where he's like, "Oh, I realize." He was like, "Wait a minute, maybe Rick isn't even in the hole with me right now. Like maybe this is just about me. Maybe this is just my biggest fear." And then he's like, "Maybe I'm afraid that like Rick will just do something horrible to me." And just watch and not care about my life. And maybe he didn't even come in the hole with me. Like maybe he just pushed me in there and he's still outside of the hole.
Yeah, he didn't jump in after me. Yeah. He didn't jump in after me.
Yeah. You don't really appreciate me. You'll never tell me that I'm important to you or that I matter. And he walks out of the hole and this is like the end. He's really gotten out of the hole.
There's like a mouth that opens. It's like, thank you for visiting the hole.
Yeah.
Your fear was yummy. and that's how I guess he knows that he's out of the hole.
Yeah.
And then he gets out of the hole, and Rick's like, "Oh my god, like Morty, how was it? Is it scary? Was it monsters and shit?" And then
it was spiders.
Yeah, was it spiders and
Yeah.
shit? And then
and Morty's like, "So am I important to you?" And he's like, "Define important." He was like, "Yeah,
that's good enough."
Yeah, I guess we're in the right place. I guess that's fine. But I also like the idea that Rick was like, "Well, I can't go in you. You can't have two like fears at once." And you're like, "Yeah, that does make sense."
That does make sense that the whole episode just kind of didn't make sense.
Yeah.
As it was. Like, you know. And then the episode ends.
It was a really good concept because it's a good idea. It's like, imagine you go into a place and it's perfectly tailored to scare you. What would that look like? And the idea that it would be a fake out, like a Rick fear.
So final thoughts. I personally, I don't think that it has the same. What?
I think that it doesn't have the same, but how could it be the same after 10 years? And it does keep the parts that I like about it. I appreciate it. I don't love it as much as I did when I was fucking 14, but I also had almost half the size of the brain I have now.
I was like, I think I started watching it pretty late. I started watching when I was like 17, and I was obsessed with it. A lot of my early sketches that I made on like TikTok were inspired by Rick and Morty. And I really loved it. And now I don't know if it's because I'm older, but a lot of the old episodes I still like look back and I'm like, that was super clever. Like watching even the like simple Rick mini, I'm just like, that's so clever. And I feel like the newer episodes are cool. They're like, it's cool. Like it's not like sad to watch, you know?
Yeah.
Like I could still enjoy them, but it doesn't have the same flair that I think earlier seasons had.
I will also make this comment. I don't know if I'm like really stoked to watch any more of the new season because it's not Justin Roiland and because I did notice. And there was a point where I didn't notice, like when I was watching the episode, like it didn't matter so much, but definitely in the parts where it wasn't like story centric and it was just like focusing on the characters like being themselves. Like the part that Justin Roiland did pretty well was just sort of like adding flourishes or improvising or just like giving it a little bit more character. Shout out Barbara.
Shout out Barbara.
But it was noticeable to me that it's definitely not Justin Roiland. It's definitely not those characters. It's not the characters that he made. And I'm not, whatever. It is what it is. I don't really know exactly I don't remember what happened with Adult Swim, but like it is what it is. And I still think it's not a bad show, but it doesn't feel like those characters anymore. It feels like it does kind of feel like almost a bad impression of those characters, and it's a little quality loss. So it's like I'm not as excited to watch the new seasons. Yeah,
Sammie?
I didn't care about the voice actors. I thought the voice actors did fine. I noticed the difference in the voices, but performance wise, it was like it was fine, in my opinion.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I don't. It's not the same from what I like. The 7 episodes I watched. Did it fall off is the question. I don't think so from the 7 episodes I've seen. Like out of context, like each episode had their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I think
you just didn't like the last one specifically.
Yeah, the last episode it just irked me. Yeah. Where I was like, guys, so the end is that it was all a dream? That it's all a trick? I've seen this before.
Yeah. But you enjoyed. Did you enjoy it more than the first time? Did you think that it was a good show in general when you were watching?
When I was younger, I thought I was like everyone who liked Rick and Morty like really irritated me because they were like I'm like Rick and Morty's this elevated level of comedy and my IQ is like 100,000 because I watched Rick and Morty. And then when I watched it, I was like, this show is like literally fine. There's nothing smarter about this. It's just pessimistic and cynical and like atheist.
Totally agree.
And people think, and the people that I had known who watched it thought they were smarter because it was mean. It's like
we have 1 minute.
I don't care.
Got it.
In context, I think the show's fine.
Thanks for listening to the Hypothetical Nonsense podcast.
How is time I let fade out and fade out and fade out. All right, bye.